I'm trying to get my work-life balance sorted out, and where I normally be commuting in the morning, I've decided to come out for a walk. It's a bit of a long walk though. It's a 6-kilometre walk, and this bit is a bit shady, but as you can see it's a lovely sunny morning. That roar that you can hear in the background is the M25. We live right next to the M25 and the A3, and right between Gatwick and Heathrow Airport. And although we live out in the countryside, as you can see, when we stay in our flat in London, it's quieter, apart from the odd siren. I'm on a sunny stretch now, and I'm really enjoying the fresh air. It's a little bit chilly this morning, but we're having another mini heat wave, even though it's the middle of September. So it's just making this whole kind of pandemic lockdown situation, although we're not officially locked down anymore, it's just making it a little bit easier anyway. We are not able to go back into work. Our office is saying January, and I am finding it difficult because I do enjoy the buzz of going up into the city, so I've got to manage it in other ways. So going for walks, doing my dad's garden, things like that, just building those things in, making sure I schedule fun things. Good morning everyone. I am on a walk. It's still morning, I think. It's the 27th of September 2020. What a year. And this walk is a walk that goes up behind my parents' house, the other side of the railway line, which is at the bottom of their garden. And I used to do this walk as a teenager when I needed to get some thinking space. And I've been meaning to come on this route for a while. You have to get in the car to get to here really, unless you want an extra 3 miles on your walk from our house. And I desperately needed a walk this morning just to clear my head, so I thought, yes, I'm going to do the Styles walk. It's called the Styles walk because there's these different styles, but as you can see, the fence beside it, how do I get my finger there? Yeah, has been taken down anyway, so you don't really use the style. And you're walking alongside all these lovely fields and bits of woodland. This one looks more like a little bridge rather than a stile. Going over a little stream. Yeah, so it's all very countrified, even though we're only like half an hour from London on the train, or even in the car. The other thing that's appealing about this walk is there are fewer people, so it's quite good for vlogging. I've been doing bits of vlogging and I haven't kind of collated them all yet, and I think it's just because for me vlogging's a little bit like journaling. I still do journaling every morning anyway, but it's quite helpful to be able to just talk out the things that you're trying to process. And you know, possibly if I do compile it and upload it, it might be helpful to other people going through similar things. That's what everybody says anyway, isn't it? And yeah, it's just very nourishing for the soul being out in the countryside. And I'll switch this back round, and farmland. There's sheep, a nice big pylon. But yeah, there's sheep in the distance. Some farm buildings up there. Something growing in this field. I don't think it's kale. It might be some kind of turnips or swede or something. Here's the remnants of a stile and a little sign. It says 1/4 mile to Stoke Dublin and 1 mile to Blundell Lane. So that means I've walked a mile. I've come down a footpath that had an orange string across it, as if like, don't come down here. And I think it's just because it's a bit muddy. You can see that the paths are a little bit muddy. But I think that might be my dad's house there. And what you can hear when you're at my mum and dad's old property is the horses whinnying in the fields. And I think you can see the horses. Oh yes, there's some horses there. So yeah, horses grazing in the fields behind where I lived as a teenager. Very nice. And I think because there's a bit of orange string over that bit of fence, I'm not going to keep meeting other walkers and might be able to talk out some thoughts. So the current stress levels in my life are very high, but they probably don't need to be, because you can just like calm down and think things through and think, would that matter in 5 years' time? And what are the consequences? I'm not being very coherent, but that's why I need to come out for a walk to clear my head and talk things out. So there's a bunch of things going on all at the same time. I've got quite a big project on at work, which I've taken on myself. As the team leader, I don't really need to take development projects on, but I kind of feel like I need to stay in touch with what programming is all about, and development and the development process, and what it's actually like in practice for the people briefing for the development, and how we can make that easy for them, and how to analyse the current process and what would improve it, and what should be in scope and what should be out of scope, and all that kind of thing. And the hardest thing always is estimating how long something's going to take, and educating the people requesting the project and briefing for it in that fact that it's almost impossible to say how long it's going to take. And they get quite stressed out and can't believe it's going to take so long, and then, you know, want to have a schedule and want you to keep you on the schedule. And I've just been putting in far too long hours, really. Been starting work at 6, and one night, you know, didn't finish till 10 p.m, 10:30 p.m. So that's silly, really. So that's obviously adding quite a bit of stress. Then finalising all the probate forms and the estimation of the valuation of the estate, and getting that as accurate as possible for the inland revenue, for the inheritance tax. And then I sent off the forms on Friday and realised that it said you need to have paid your inheritance tax like 3 weeks before you apply for a probate, and you get a fine if you haven't notified them. I think it's just notified them rather than actually put the application in within 6 months of the death. So that will be the 29th of September and it is the 27th, so that's slightly worrying. Yes, shouldn't have thought of that fact. My stress level's gone soared up now again. And then I had a bit of a glitch with the Airbnb, in that we're limited to 90 days in London, and I reached my 90 days for 2019 by August, And then the instructions are, then change your property to be private rooms. You can list the same property but as private rooms. Now, I didn't understand that you actually have to create a separate listing, so I just advertised on the same listing that it was private rooms, and somebody booked it and I got suspended, so because I'd gone over the 90 days. So I waited till the new year and tried to list it again, and they said, because that resets your 90 days, then they said there's a problem. And then they investigated it and said, oh, it's because you went over the 90 days and you listed your property as private rooms and it previously been listed as entire property. So I explained, yes, I'd misunderstood, and I have actually created a separate listing, but I actually never made it live because then I got a short-term let through some friends of Hilary, my daughter. So I thought, well, that'll tie me over. And then they said, okay, because of this violation of the regulations, you can relist your property, but not till the 1st of April. And then, of course, by the 1st of April, you can put anything on Airbnb at all. So then they lifted the restrictions on Airbnb. So I got the cleaner in, she did the special COVID clean and tried to relist it, and it's still flagging up about this violation. Yes, just it's been resolved, but got to make sure that the right team are contacted. So that's stressful. There's also family stresses that happen where people have set ideas about things that you might need to like invest in, and I'm kind of caught in the middle of that, so that's stressful. And both of the other family members want me to talk about it, and it just really stresses me because they're just staying kind of entrenched in their specific opinions, and then when you say that, they go, it's not the opinions, it's fact, and you think, oh my goodness, right, okay. So, yeah. And yes, and then when your brain is in that high alert state, it's kind of scans around for any other kind of threat or concern, and suddenly you find yourself worrying about things that are not actually your responsibility anyway. So you have to get your brain back into not being on high alert mode in order to be able to cope with life. So that's my little outpouring, and yes, I'm going to continue on my styles walk, even though the styles are barely existent anymore. I think I'm going to turn back in a second, but I just wanted to come down to this little house down here because when I did come for walks here as a teenager, this was a really tumbled down, ruined little cottage, and it looks like it's all been restored or rebuilt or something. So I just wanted to have a little look at that. But otherwise, the path goes down to the main road, and then you're just walking on the road. So I'd rather go back through the fields. Come back up. There's the forage stream path. There's the broken down stile. Got my head up now because it's getting really windy and cold. But I'm sure I'll warm up as I try to lie back. I'm back from my walk and still processing a few things, or trying to get my brain to behave itself and calm down. But one of the really good things that happened is I expressed to the family members that I mentioned earlier, both yesterday and today, that the approach to kind of working out this decision was, one of the things that was really stressing me out. There's something that I learnt with my coach a few months ago, and it is the scarf model, and it's something to do with when you are needing to have a difficult conversation. And I think it might be from that book, Crucial Conversations, or somebody might have kind of put together the mnemonic after that. But it's basically when you're in a conversation, it could be like a committee or like a family decision you've got to make. Something's itching my nose. To where you've got something that is an end objective that you have to resolve, and you want to keep everybody engaged, is not to trigger that threat response, and to try and kind of, the minute you see that happening, try and work out what it is you said. You might not have said anything wrong, but it might just be something that you've said that's triggered the threat response in them. And SCARF stands for different areas that can be very important to people. So I can never remember what they are. So S could be for security or something, C for control, A for autonomy, so if it threatens the person's autonomy, or can't remember, but you know what I mean. Basically, when we talk about it with me and Ben, we kind of go, oh yeah, we should think about the scarf thing, and we kind of go, what does that mean again? Well, it doesn't really matter. It's whenever we see the other person going into threat mode, doing something to dial whatever it is down. So I went out for that walk. They resolved it between them. I think they realised what an impact it was having on me being the person in between, that they were like, getting all they were giving me all the buffering, so that's good. Yeah, so I think a lot of the time, as I was mentioning before, some of the things that you start stressing out about are not even your responsibility anyway. And that was one of the things that I didn't even realise wasn't my responsibility. I think it was my responsibility to go, yes, we've got the budget, but not my responsibility to, help them thrash it out as to what it was that they wanted to buy. So, phew. And I should do that with other things as well. So, just to give you a bit of perspective, the other things that have been things I've been having to deal with that I might have mentioned in some other footage, and I'll probably, when I come to edit this, realise, is the house in Guildford has been a bit problematic over the last few weeks. So we had some tenants in there, and then they had to go home early because of the lockdown, and I was getting a reduced rent from them anyway. But unbeknownst to me, the lettings agent, the owner, became very ill, and he's terminally ill. And so now he's not able to do any work at all, and he may have even passed away. I don't know. I haven't heard. But before that, I don't think he was able to operate that well, and he had an assistant, and she was taking on more and more, and she was clearly quite out of her depth. And what should have been a very clear thing to the tenants, hey, look, there's been a leak and you haven't reported it, and it's caused this damage, got very confused at first, but luckily I've managed to get all the damage repaired on the insurance. Thank you, insurance, that's what insurance is for. And we've got some new tenants in there. We did some immediate repairs, so new floor in the kitchen, and some decorating, and Ben and I did a lot of the decorating to save a bit of money. And that was very hard work. We were working very hard after work for 5 or 6 hours every night 1 week to make sure that we got these tenants in, and I had to have a gap of a couple of weeks before these tenants moved in, so missed out on 2 weeks rent. Anyway, the new tenants are in, and they are quite high maintenance. They phone up about every single thing, and at the moment they clearly don't know how to use the cooker. They are maintaining the cooker is not functioning correctly, but I think they've been turning the grill on thinking it's the oven, and the glass door for the oven has smashed. So because that part needed to be ordered, although I've got service cover for the oven, it has taken 2 weeks for this part to arrive, and that's going to be sorted tomorrow. But they're still messaging me going, I don't think it can be that, you know, the grill is working because it's too hot, and it's burning the food and it's not cooking through. And I'm thinking, put it on a lower shelf. But they seem to think the thermostat's not working. But anyway, the engineer who's coming tomorrow is going to check everything, and under the service agreement I'll get a new oven if they can't repair it, so that's cool. That's kind of buzzing in the back of my mind. And I haven't had any rent for 2 months because the lettings agent is the only person that has access to his bank account, and the rent has been paid into his bank account, and then this lettings agent fee comes off, and then the rest gets passed to me, or, you know, minus any repairs or anything. And it's happened to all the landlords that are with this lettings agent, and I believe the girl who was the assistant has now told the tenants to pay the landlords directly, but I'm gonna have to wait until his estate is resolved before I can get August and September's rent, and hopefully I'll get October's rent directly. So that's kind of all buzzing in my head at the same time. It's kind of resolved, but it's also a thing, you know. And then there are other kind of family things, people just not coping with lockdown and all this kind of stresses, and people want to phone you up and going, oh no, this has gone wrong, and I'm already at this coping level. So again, it's just about setting boundaries, I think. So, and I think I already vlogged about this, but I had a very good session with my coach, and she was saying about scheduling in fun things as well. So that's why I went for that walk over the stiles, and that was really fun. And I have just been chilling out, watching videos and things, and I just want to make sure that I can keep my mental health in a good condition so that I can function properly. That is the most frustrating thing, is when I get overwhelmed, I stop functioning properly, and then more things go wrong because I've like missed some deadline for something. So I need to send an email to accompany all the papers that I sent off on Friday to do the probate. That was my hand hitting the desk. I didn't have time to do a covering letter, so I thought I'll do an email, and I've also got to pay this legal advisor for the work that he's doing, and I have to pay a fee for a filing fee for either the probate or the inheritance tax. I can't remember which, probably the probate. And I just hope it all happens in time, and I'll put a note on there, do you want me to notify them or whatever. And you know, the inheritance tax is being paid at this moment. So yeah, loads of stuff.